Hi, this is Mia. I didn't have any patients today, and I had midwifery this morning. I started to get to the point where there was some work changes over the past 3 months in time, like severe changes in schedule, and a lot of doctor's appointments canceled. They demanded I cancel them after automobile accident, and I was feeling terrible and being overwhelmed, and then trying to make these doctor's appointments up and having a solid work part-time, but work and plus doctor's appointments up to 3 a day, plus in multiple times a week, like 3 a day one day, maybe one the day before, something like that, and then having my own children to take care of and take to school and stuff, and it had become really overwhelming, and it's still overwhelming. And I got home today. I thought it was 12:15. I was like, wow, it's so early, and it was really 1:15. And I was like, well, my watch was wrong. I have this watch, and it has an old band. I like the band, but it's split in half. I was like, I just glue it together. And I have another band and my daughter's band. All of them need to be replaced. Like, probably, I don't know if they're open. I should replace them. I got home around 2. Took the long way home to avoid the red light cameras. I got home sometime around 2, and I made a couple videos, made a little bit of food, ate some cheese, which I'm doing a vegetarian diet, and I want to be vegan. I'm like, and it's hard, and it's like 20 Brazil nuts all at once, like that's it, like that, and a bite of chocolate and half a banana or something, and it's not that I'm eating like a plate of pasta with meatballs and sauce and cheese on top, but it's like, it feels like people are saying, oh, you're fat because you eat bananas and nuts and stuff, but I'm like, I'd be a whole lot fatter if I ate pasta, because I have intolerance to certain foods, and other foods it's still high calorie, but I can tolerate it, and it's not like I'm eating cabbage soup once a day and nothing else but water, so I'm, but I'm eating what I can eat. I am horrified at the symptoms from the automobile accident. I was downstairs thinking, I feel pain in my hand, especially my right, but the heat, it's like the numbness and tingling has become painful. I'm like, I wonder people that have phantom leg pain if they feel anything like this, because I feel like horrible. And last video I made a couple hours or so ago, the yard guys were here nuts complaining, and it's like, that's their job and everything, and we're getting a lot of complaints at work about misspelled names and birthdays, and I'm like freaking out because the medical records people are getting the wrong birthdays and duplicate charts. And I always wondered why they were getting duplicate charts, because they should, if they go and do a chart, they should if you have an established patient, even if they've only been once, they should have a chart. And that chart should have some notes in it, or appointment notes, or anything. If you're making up a birth date right then and there, in a brand new chart, it's like, there's no other appointments. You're making it right now. And I just feel like, when I see that, they told me when you see a duplicate, one is like completely wrong, and the next one has like 15 office visits. And it's like, if you're entering data and enter it into that one, and a lot of times there'll be 2 birth dates for similar spelling names, or the wrong spelling name, 2 similar people's names with the exact same birth date, and we have to be a detective. What I'm saying is, you double click on it, or all their and do all. And I'm noticing as soon as I enter the computer, there's already mistakes. So that I think they're trying to blame us, but it's like, we don't really have any way to. We don't make patient charts. Like, we don't make digital charts. We only click into pre-made charts. So I don't see how it can be us. And so I'm not actually going to ask my boss, because I'm concerned about and misspelling incorrect birth dates. Like, I personally don't do well with stuff when I'm tired, when I don't get my breaks, when I don't get to eat lunch, go to the bathroom, when there's stress, when someone's talking too much. I personally don't do well. And I understand people say you have to work under pressure. People do 18-hour surgeries, and oftentimes they at least switch and use the bathroom or something. But it's like, you, as a human, studies are done. You're not supposed to just go, go, go. And unfortunately, outside of my regular job, I have a grueling schedule and and I'm like, break could be a difference between how efficient and how accurate I work, versus someone else like, oh, I just went 6 hours out of break, I didn't even notice. But for me, it's just like, I'm like grinding, like, I gotta take a break. It's just like, people are in different circumstances, people have different states of health, and, everything. I do health, food, and detox, and I go through healing crises too, which is like, and just the car accident itself, I've been feeling my head past, I from multiple such severe headaches since the car accident, and I'm horrified at this. That's why I'm doing this. I don't recommend everyone eat the way I do. There's people that eat a lot differently than me as far as standard American shape, athletes, do yoga, very flexible, healthy, no health issues, no headaches, and they'll be like, well, you eat like that, you shouldn't have any health problems, you shouldn't be fat, you shouldn't be this, you shouldn't be that, your hair should be longer, da-da-da-da-da. And it's just like, well, now everyone's body is different, everyone's past medical history is different, not everyone has been in the car accident that caused this kind of issues, or, not being able to exercise, not being able to stay awake for a normal day, not being able to lift, and, not being able to stand up to eat, to make food for my kids. It's really devastating. And there's going to be other people in this situation, but most people I know have some sort of help. They either have their mom coming over, they have their partner, their ex-husband, someone helping with the kids, somebody bringing plates of food, somebody giving you child support, alimony, or the state giving you welfare. Like, most people I know have a neighbor, and usually the people that have help, they got like 4 or 5 individuals that help them. So, and I'm trying to be like, trusting God, that's all the help you need. If you can't beat them, join them. So if I can't get help, that's a different type of can't beat them, join them. But it's like, if I can't help, then what can I do to help somebody else? Is where I usually go. But then I'm just like my own kids being like, are you going to the store, we're out of food, and I'm like, okay, someone had to tell me, you're doing too much for other people, you got to take care of your family. And if you talk to the Department of Human Services, you know that if you don't properly take care of family, take them to proper appointments, feed them properly, that you will get reported and you will have your foster care. It's like, people to me that I'm not 6 hours when my kids are at school and being driven on the bus, sitting at home making food for the entire neighborhood. No, I'm not doing that, and people yelling at me at that, and it's like, I gotta bust my butt to figure out how to find money and how to rack up my credit card and how to go to the grocery store for my own kids so that my own kids don't get put into foster care and someone's getting paid $1,000, $1,200 a month for foster care pays. I was like, sometimes it's like, you gotta be like, if you're in survival mode, you don't have time, and it's like unfortunate, a lot of people get in the earthquake and volunteering for the earthquake, and it's like, I can't ask God wanted to make some kind of sacrificial offering, or when, we say do is pray about them, and pray about what I feel. You gotta, kid doesn't have shoes, you spend that for your kid, like, and I have to be like, oh my gosh, you're right, I can't, and the people, you see those people over, and they got new home, new clothes, wire, they're building new schools, they got 30 grand within a week time, and you're like, okay, they could use my $20, but if my kid is not walking around outside with no shoes on, that's going to be bad for all of us. That's going to tear our family apart because the state doesn't allow you to neglect. And it's like, we try to sign my kids up for programs, to get free shoes for poor people because I didn't have the money. It's like, if I gotta choose between rent and shoes, I choose rent. If I gotta choose between gas and 2 packs of ramen, I gotta choose gas because I gotta get to work. And so that's where I'm coming from. And people can be like, what's your problem? Why don't you go do this? Why don't you do that? And it's like, you see people, they're like, even if they're wealthy, they're like, oh my gosh, we got all this stuff for my baby. We got cribs, car seats, clothes, breast pumps, everything. And they're like, and then our family helped us and we moved to a new house and we have someone coming in, they donate paint to paint the baby's room. And you're just like, jaw open. I'm like, I'm gonna go take once a year, get burgers and fries, like as a treat, so I don't have to make dinner tonight. Or I want to be able to go to the grocery store and not have to put stuff back, and be like, this food is gonna help them when I'm at work to be able to feed themselves. Like, it's amazing to. There's so many times in the start having to put stuff back. It's just, but it's like, I don't know. I'm just pushing forward. I'm sorry that I'm complaining. I finished this book. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed because this is the second book that I need to read, and now I still have the book in the cars. I was expecting to have read it by now. So that was what I didn't mean to argue, and I just like, I've got so many people telling me, you don't donate enough, you don't do this, why your kids don't have their hair cut, why don't you got your nails done, why don't you got your toes done, why don't you know, what do you mean you never went in for a pedicure, what do you mean you don't know what it's like to buy a brand new purse, and all this stuff. It's just like, I don't know what it's like. And they asked me what I did on Mother's Day. I went, oh, what do people do? My dad went and took my mom to Sunday brunch at a fancy hotel restaurant. I don't spend money on restaurants. I spend money on the restaurant for some raw food products because I was like, starved one day, and I was promising myself to do that since my birthday. But right now, I'm like, should I have gone and made a brunch at the restaurant? You know, it's like, I didn't even get paid properly. They paid us 2 days late. I'm like, I spent the night of Mother's Day paying over $100 in utility bills after I already paid $134 for his telephone, and I'm like, for home phone, and I'm like, I wouldn't mind even going to a drive-thru and get myself a salad and get them a couple burgers and some chicken nuggets, but I felt I was irresponsible. If I had $30-40, I need to go get real groceries. So that's where I am right now. Is people are telling me I don't know how to celebrate, I don't do this, that I'm not a good gift giver. People are not good givers, but it's like, unfortunately, we're living in kind of having rough times, and moving forward, like I said, someone yelled at me for not having my DULA certification yet. I gotta write these book reports and read these books. It is only for I on this piece of paper and on here. This book's got to go to the library tomorrow. It was due. I'm gonna get out in the car in a few minutes and get the third book, and I have the other 2 books. I just don't know what I did with them. It's kind of disturbing. Like, I've done this before where I needed to finish a book report or a book and a book report for a class, and it's like I have school, work, kids, and I've literally over the weekend camped out and spent 12 hours a day writing a book report or writing a paper and just reading hundreds of pages, like 100 pages a day, have my eyes all like, oh. I've done this before, and for some reason I'm not willing to do it with this midwifery stuff, or with the doula stuff. These books are dense. They're all between 200-300 pages long, and while I read the first 2 books, most of the time I was taking one term, one class, and the next term, 2 classes per term. So I had to study for terms, and study for a class on a regular basis, on weekly basis, and and it wasn't the only thing. It's like besides working and doing doula training, having doula clients and having midwifery patients and having hoping to have my own patients. So that's where I am right now. Is just I've been told that I'm taking too long to get certifications. Every day I'm reading. Every day I'm reading, trudging through, reading and reading, writing, and now I'm telling you that I'm done. I don't have to read the biographies, but I want to. I read it well because they stood out. It's my book to own, so I'm going to have to give it back, and I take more notes, I think. I would be more prone to like marking pages or writing in the book if it was my own book. So I'm going to read, it's pitch black in here, I'm going to read this bio. Oh gosh, I burned myself. I right hand. I keep having burns and cuts, and it's really disturbing. And everyone's like, "You're fine, you're fine." Everyone keeps talking about spiritual midwifery. I gotta read that book. Anyways, I'm going to open the blinds and eventually turn the light on. It's just dark. It's like all weekend it was sunny and bright and hot, and now it's chilly and dark and kind of rainy and stuff. But I really want to, for an accountability club, I really want to tell you that I started book 3 because I still would have to plow through book 3, 4, and 5. So 3 more books, and they're dense. Like when I read for other classes, it's like I can plow through the story, but this one, the birthing story, it's like intense. It's describing the birthing process and people's individual stories and going through their labor and their contractions and their pushing the head. It's just like similar story, but it's like it's almost too much. It's not like I have these fiction stories and it's like what happens next? What happened next? Oh my gosh! I want to know what happens next. And one of my best stimulators is oh my gosh, I gotta read it. But yeah, so I'm hoping to be done by July. I hate to say it like that because it's May, June, July. My food handler car expires in July, and I'm like, dude, this sucks. Because that's another money thing. I have to pay money and do all that. So with all requirements, wanted to throw that out there. Everyone is mad that I'm not working as a physician or getting paid as a doula or a midwife. I haven't finished the training for doula and midwife. I can be for midwifery. Legally, I'm still a student, so I'm not allowed to be paid as a naturopath. Legally, I can be paid. I just haven't advertised and haven't been available during the times that the office that I'm supposed to be working at is available. I haven't hardly been available, so I'm slacking on that. I don't know what to do. I haven't been trained on how to get patients. But I would like to say, people keep yelling at me and fussing at me. I've got a lot of my birth charts done. It's 3 pages of written notes, and it has to be signed twice by a doctor. Plus, you have prenatals, postpartums, and birthing logs that all have to be signed by doctors. And you have to go in, if you can't do it during the birth or another visit, you have to go into their office and grab the paper charts, and now they're switching to computer charts, so you'd have to ask them to answer some of the questions because they'd have to go into their computer log and do it. So you have to be there during office hours to do these charts and have them. You can take the pack of signed charts for days and they're not too busy to sign it, so you have to keep on nudging this. And then for doula work, I got a bunch of paperwork and buy papers and sign, and it's not just I went to a birth and I went home and I went to sleep. It's like you got to do a lot of documents, and you got to do, besides the activity that you're doing while you're there. It's like when I'm in a hospital at a birth, there's a nurse and a doctor and a midwife and another nurse and a resident and a student and maybe a doula and then a partner and a mom and a dad and a grandma, 2 other sets of parents and some siblings and family friend and neighbor, and it's like, oh, something spilled on the floor, someone's going to clean it. It's like at a midwifery home birth, it's like, oh, something's on the floor, I gotta clean it. Oh, someone needs food, we gotta go and make that. Oh, the laundry needs to be done. Oh, this. Oh, we had to put these pumps and change the plumbing and put this water outside, or dump this, or take out the garbage, and take out the garbage 3 or 4 times, and then it's full, so you gotta be like creative about that. And load up, unload cars. It's like not leisurely. Like, it keeps you from being bored, I'll tell you that, because I don't want to be bored, and that's why I gotta bump up my doula thing, because it's like, with the midwifery training, now that you're doing stuff, you're massaging, it's like doula, it's like, you're doing a lot of things, but it's like, you tone it down, and it's tired, you're tired, like, more up all night, it was tiring. It's like, I don't know, I'm still trusting in God to, but I'm like, can be like a nun, and I could probably pass as being, I don't know how that sounds. It's like, I've been single and nobody, no relations of any kind. It's like, oh, I could be a nun right now, but I just want to be like, I trust the Lord to take care of us, but I also feel like a responsible adult in that I'm not able to make a living, that the Bible says, please allow me to not be so poor that I steal, or not be so rich that I forget about you. And I'm still wanting, like, people think that I should be rich when I'm in a poor, I don't steal. Oh my gosh, how am I going to pay my car? Like, I'm just like, it's like stealing time from being a part of society. It's stealing time from me being a parent. It's like, I gotta get the calculator out all the time, figure this out. I don't have time to play with the kids. I don't have time to go to the park. I don't have time to play tennis. And it makes me sick. Like, I want to be able to be like, okay, you're out of food, let's go to the store. We don't have to count pennies. And there's times where they're all like, too bad. See, when they cut off our food stamps, we had like 5 emergency kits. They're all empty. There's not one left. There might be one left. No, I think I cleaned it out. I thought there was one that had like hot sauce in it or something. I can actually check that, because I will be eating some hot sauce for dinner, I'll tell you that. But I've cleaned out all 5 of our emergency kits. And some of that stuff needs to be rotated, but when you're that poor, you cannot replace. It's like you're supposed to have a party and eat all the food one week, put on your camping or whatever. But when you don't have enough money, you can't replace it. So I just, like, we ate it, and now that all the bag pats and suitcases and plastic containers we have, they're all they're done, and they were not refilled. So we have a few canned goods if there is an emergency, but we definitely don't have this, like, we were set up in case, if there's a power outage or some kind of issue. We don't have it set up anymore, and someone gave us some old beans and some olive oil from the food bank with no date on it, and I'm scared of it. It's sticky and old and yucky. I'm like, well, if got some red kidney, we got some socks filled with beans next to the door, because we have holes under all our doors. I was like, that's your emergency kit. Now, okay, like, if anything, you're gonna go open that sock and you're gonna soak some beans, and that's what you're gonna have. It's pretty sad. I keep saying I don't want people to know that we're, like, poor, because people will look at us and be like, oh, you look like you're doing well, you're driving a decent car. Like, it's like, some of the things we got is because we had borrowed money, so it wasn't like, it's not like I'm in debt for all the stuff I have, and part of the stuff I have is because of the requirements, earrings for clinic. I was tired of people calling me male or sir. This headband was a remnant at the Fabric Depot, where it was like 50% off plus 50% off, and I hemmed it and made a headband. I made it out of something that cost a couple bucks, and it could look like I went out and spent $20 for it, but I didn't, and so I'm just like been pinching pennies and getting discount and buying ramen and buying bread in the freezer. That's what the kids have been eating this week. It's like, and I hate to say it like that, but I'm like, I almost want to write a book. I want to write a book to say have hope, but I don't want to sit here making videos about, oh my gosh, it sucks. Like, it's heartbreaking to me to kind of feel like my family and friends kind of just feel like forgotten about. But it's like, you know, I try to bend over backwards and help other people and volunteer and take care of their kids and do all this stuff. But then it got to be where my own self, like even just taking care of my own family was almost impossible. So it's very hard for me to be mad at society when I'm not able. But it's always hoping to have income enough that I could give, or that I could get enough an hour that I could have more time to do things within volunteer. I always volunteer in my life, but just to do more and to be more available. But so that's where I am right now. God bless. I also am I'm going to read this, and I'm going to go out in the car and find the other book. I've also had some people answer me about a job that's part-time, and I feel spread so thin. I don't know if I can add. I'm already finishing my training to do that, and I promised myself that I would not work unless I was working as a physician. That anything, no volunteer, no other jobs. If I were to change job from one to the other part-time to up to 20 hours a week, then that's it. And except for adding on doula work or like anything that's related to that. So, like, right now I'm like, they said I asked if I could be a sub or something, and they're kind of wanting me, they just emailed me back saying that I could be a sub, but I had to take a class and do all this other stuff. And another friend said it was a little shady and all this, and now my dad's like, oh, take the job. And I'm like, with dealing with all the stuff that I'm doing right now, I can barely stay awake in the day, and I'm like, I feel like a lot of women in my family were single moms, and they got really sick. They hit a lot of stress, no play, no relaxation, no time off, always parenting alone, working 7 days a week, staying up late, working in the nights, getting up first thing in the morning, staying up all night cleaning the house, doing laundry, just falling asleep wherever you are, on the couch, talking to someone, hopefully not while you're driving, standing up, almost sleeping, doing dishes. I'm tired of it. I want to break the cycle of working yourself to death. I want to break the cycle of I'm going to die before I'm 55 into all my dying at 54. Like, I saw them work themselves to the bone. I saw them not able to have friends. I saw them not being able to visit family, and doing all the child rearing themselves, and like I said, working 6-7 jobs, literally, even like full-time, 2 full-time jobs and several part-time jobs, even if they had enough money, or appeared to have enough money. And I know a lot of people of color are often paid less for the same amount of work in education, so that could have something to do with why they needed multiple, when other people in the same job only worked one job and were able to go on picnics. And I'll say that could have had something to do with it. It probably did, having to work. But I've talked to relatives who are sick, raising their kids, getting junk food because they had to work, and just that stress on your body, and always knowing that you're never going to be able to take a day off, and then just straight up dying. Or I see other people who they can share the responsibility with a kid, hire a nanny, be able to go on date nights with their husband because they're actually married in a good relationship, and then they grow old and they look forward to seeing their grandkids, and they look forward to being like, oh, I worked my life, my kids were raised up, and they go to college and they're all doing fine, and now I can go on vacation every 2 months with my husband and go on cruises and have dogs and farms and stuff. And I see the difference in certain families, and I feel like I'm going down the path of this stress. I hate it. Stress healthy. And my mom wasn't single, but my dad worked out of town, so that's why she was doing all of this, having to have all the stress. Like, I'm gonna push stop and pray about it right now, because if I follow that path and die before 55, I'm gonna be around like 15 years, and if any that people died younger and younger. It just makes me sick that some people work so hard and can't enjoy it. They can't enjoy life. You can enjoy your work. You can enjoy being busy. You can enjoy doing laundry at 4 in the morning. But I think sometimes you need to just be able to rest, sit on the beach, sit on the sun, and just let your feet float in the water and not have to be somewhere every day. Not have to, I had to take this class because I'm sure I have this. I gotta do things on Sunday, and then I'm working. I have to do financial books at 4 in the morning, and my kid has to be at school at 8. I have to be at work at 8:15. And I just hated that with my mom. It was too much. It was way too much, and I feel myself doing the exact same thing. And I feel like every week is another, your rent went up, your electric bill's done. Okay, now we're not going to help you with this. We're not going to help you with food. Oh, you need to borrow money for school. Too bad. We're going to keep turning you down. We're going to keep sending you letters every 3 days saying, why don't you borrow money for school? And it's just like, it's so bad. Sometimes I'm like, maybe that Prince Charming will come on the white horse and I'll just be able to be like, oh, I'm going to raise kids and have dogs, cats, and horses and birds and rabbit and work half the week really hard, make my own money so I can buy my own earrings, run a business where I hire a manager, and just be able to have family time and have someone help like a normal person be able to sit at and it's like, whoa, that would be if that happened, I would tell you, if and when that ever happens, I will cry. I will cry tears of joy. It could happen tonight. I'll cry tears of joy. I could organize, have a under. It is non-existent. So, I'm gonna go finish this book, and it's due. It was due 2 weeks ago, and I have to finish it tonight. I have to do the book report tonight, and like I said, if I don't do these requirements to do the training, then I'm not gonna be able to be certified. I could still I still trained and took the classes and did the burst and have experience and read the books. The other book that I have, the Spiral Bound book. I'm still reading it, but it's 300 something. But as far as getting the packet and turning it in, that's my next goal as far as education. That combined with doing bursts, which I'm on call, I could be called any minute now, so I can't. Sometimes it's like I used to be this. I'm gonna stay up till 1 and finish this thing, and then right at when I'm going to sleep, and I don't have to wake up till 8. But it's like, okay, I could be called in the birth, and I have to be somewhere in the next county by 8. So it's like the most stressful thing to me. The only way that I feel like I can change my health is by changing my diet. And I know a lot of people are vegans and all this stuff that get cancer and all this stuff, and I'm like, even in a naturopathic field, it's like, are they busting their butt? Are they freaking out because it has so much loans to pay back? Did they sacrifice and go to medical school and study all the time while their kids grew up right, and they missed it? Are they going through things like me, even as married couples? And I freak out about that. So I need to really pray and accept God's path for me, but I really need to make sure that I'm following the right path. Part of me is just at a jewelry shop or a typewriter store and just be a sales clerk and not even think about. It's all the things to have a doctor's license. You have to pay hundreds and thousands of dollars a year, and it's just I haven't made any money from it. It's why should I even keep that stuff active? I haven't even started yet, and I'm about to give up, so I need to really pray about that. And not having friends or support, not having anywhere to go on Mother's Day or any other holiday, not ever barbecues. It's kind of sad. It's kind of lonely, but it's I'm kind of a geek, so it's I was at home studying or watching cop shows, so it's not that I'm depressed, it's just kind of interesting way you feel part of community when you actually are part of community. It's a different type of feeling. It's a different part of being accepted, a different part of helping your self-confidence, self-esteem, and sometimes people with a lot of self-esteem, you can sense them without even looking at them, and you're like, wow, if that person's it's different. I feel comfortable with them versus someone who's people yell at me because I'm so stressed out and so tired and emotional, and it's I am working my butt. It's well, we all go through stuff, and you're I haven't eaten a lunch in 6 days. I don't have money to buy food. I have money to buy my kids food, but not myself. I have slept 4 hours a night, and I rushed here in traffic, saw 3 wrecks on the way. I'm grateful that I wasn't in. And now somebody's gonna. They don't like me, and they don't like my outfit, and they tell me I'm fat. It's like, well, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. It's like, yeah, people have bottled days. It's like, I've bottled up my feelings for years, and that was the worst thing I could ever do. So if somebody pushed my buttons to make me cry at work, then I do. Not that I'm like, oh, I'm just going to break down and cry and be an actor. No, it's just like, out of nowhere, I'm like, wow. And I'm around a lot of pregnant people, a lot of emotional things, and I see that, and I'm also detoxing a lot, because a lot of emotion, sing a lot from doing the stretches, and I allow myself, especially with birthing work, it's like, feel how you want to feel. Let your instincts take over. Let your body do the work. Let yourself tell us to shut up if you need to. I just really appreciate not being told you're weak because you cried. Or, and it's like, no, you're strong because you cried. Because you let yourself be vulnerable and let yourself be yourself. You're a human. You're not a robot. Just for a reason. And it may not be professional, and if it's not, then, and I've cried at births before. If that's not professional, then maybe I need to go somewhere out in the woods and sit and be a writer, artist, or fishery and wildlife, to collect water samples. And if I want to cry because there's dead fish, then no one's there to see me. But I think that God has, I'm really a natural person, and it's like, you are like a robot. You eat highly processed foods. Your health is really poor. You and your family are all on like 16 medications apiece that are made in a factory, and you want to be like a robot, be like a robot. I want to be a human. I want to be natural. I want to be the person God made me. And when I wake up in the morning, go to sleep at night, and say, God made me this way, and the day went this way, and thank God that I wasn't in the wreck. Thank God I came when my kids were nobody got shot. It's like, and that is a day that, even if it's hard and if I spread thin, I still am enjoying the day. Even this noisy kids out here, you got a little 3-year-old saying hi every day now, and it's like, that's good. It's like the old Sesame Street. I grew up in the woods, and there was a lot of waving, but not a lot of talking, because people were farther away. So I'm grateful today. I will tell you that there is hope. 5 of them. God bless.